The old Crestwood High School was infamous in town. It had been abandoned for years after a series of tragic events, but people still whispered about it. Students who dared to sneak in swore they could hear soft sobbing, or worse, the chilling sound of footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Most people brushed it off as silly rumors, but those who knew the story understood that something sinister lurked within those crumbling walls. The story began decades ago with a bright young student named Lily. She was a quiet, shy girl, always lost in her books. Her teacher, Mr. Grayson, appeared kind and patient on the outside, but behind closed doors, he was a different person altogether. He had an obsession with perfection, an obsession that would push him to the brink of madness. Mr. Grayson was known for his strict rules and harsh punishments. If a student didn't complete their homework or made a mistake in class, they'd face his terrifying wrath. But with Lily, he went even further. She was his top student, the one he expected the most from. So, when Lily struggled to keep up with his unreasonable standards, Mr. Grayson's behavior took a darker turn. He began locking Lily in a small, windowless room at the end of the hallway. No one ever used it. The room had a single light bulb that flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The other students started noticing Lily's absence and the bruises on her arms, but fear kept them silent. They didn't dare speak up, afraid they'd be next. One rainy afternoon, when the school was empty, Mr. Grayson decided to teach Lily a lesson she'd never forget. He dragged her to the room and locked her inside. As the minutes turned into hours, Lily's cries for help echoed through the corridors. But no one was there to listen. The rain outside grew heavier, and the air inside the room became thick with desperation. When Mr. Grayson finally returned, his eyes were cold and unfeeling. He didn't care that Lily was terrified or that she was pleading with him to let her go. He pushed her against the wall and began his cruel punishment. He yelled at her for not being good enough, for not living up to his expectations. In a fit of rage, he grabbed a thick ruler and struck her again and again. Lily's screams filled the empty school. And then, just like that, they stopped. Realizing what he'd done, Mr. Grayson panicked. He tried to revive her, but it was too late. Lily lay still, her eyes wide open, staring blankly at the ceiling. Desperate to cover his tracks, he hid her body in that very room and sealed the door shut, vowing never to speak of it again. But the guilt consumed him. Mr. Grayson started hearing whispers and seeing fleeting shadows out of the corner of his eye. It wasn't long before he met his end, falling from the top floor of the school building. Some say he jumped. Others say something pushed him. After his death, the school was shut down, and Lily's body was never found. Years passed, but the story of Lily's tragic end remained. One night, a group of curious teens, armed with flashlights and bravado, decided to explore the old school. They laughed nervously as they wandered the dark hallways, teasing each other about the ghost stories they'd heard. "Lily, are you here?" one of them joked, knocking on the walls. The others chuckled, but then they heard it, a soft, sobbing sound coming from down the hall. They froze. The sound grew louder, echoing through the empty corridors. It was coming from the sealed room. Heart pounding, one of the teens approached the door. It was covered in dust and cobwebs, but when they touched it, the handle turned easily, as if it had been waiting to be opened. They pushed the door open, and the smell of decay filled the air. There, lying in the middle of the floor, was a pile of dusty old books. But that wasn't what made them scream. Scrawled across the walls in what looked like blood were the words, "He never left." And sitting in the corner, hunched over with her back turned, was a shadowy figure. Before they could react, it slowly turned its head. The figure had hollow, dark eyes and a face twisted in agony. It was Lily. Her mouth opened in a silent scream, and the room's temperature plummeted. The teens scrambled to leave, but as they turned to run, the door slammed shut. A chilling voice echoed through the room. "Don't leave me here. Not alone. Not again." Panicking, they pounded on the door, but it wouldn't budge. The sobbing grew louder, filling their ears until they couldn't hear anything else. One by one, the teens felt something icy cold grip their ankles, dragging them back towards the center of the room. The last thing they saw before the darkness consumed them was Lily's twisted smile. The next day, the teens' parents found the school's doors wide open. Inside, there was no sign of their children, only a dusty, abandoned building and a message on the wall. They're with me now. To this day, no one dares enter Crestwood High. Some say that if you listen closely at night, you can still hear Lily's sobs echoing through the halls, forever trapped, forever waiting for her next visitor. Thank you for joining us for this chilling tale of the haunted school. The tragic story of Lily and the dark secrets that lingered within those walls remind us that some places hold memories too painful to fade. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more spine-tingling tales every week.